Good morning. Now, the biggest and longest running dive event in Asia, the Asia Dive Expo, returns to Singapore this weekend. And its message for 2015 is marine conservation.
An important message indeed. Studies show there are now hundreds of ocean dead zones. And these are areas where sea life cannot survive.
Increased pollution means that the number of such dead zones are on the rise. And who's mostly responsible? Well, it's us, humans. 80% of marine pollution stems from our activities on land, especially plastic waste.
Further threatening sea life is climate change, overfishing, and the illegal practice of blast fishing. But two women are determined to reverse the ocean's decline. Valerie Taylor, a legend in the world of scuba diving since the 1960s. Well, she's among the pioneers of capturing the underwater world on camera, including those heart-stopping shark scenes in Steven Spielberg's blockbuster Jaws.
And also Hong Kong celebrity Sharon Kwok, who's an active conservationist and an avid diver as well, and they're both here in studio to chat with us about diving and marine conservation. Valerie and Sharon, thank you very much for joining us this morning.
Oh, it's a pleasure. Well, I'm lucky to be here because I was brought here to be part of this festival, and I hope a lot of people come along.
Amazing. You are turning 80 this year. Do you still dive regularly?
I was diving last week in Fiji with bull sharks, filming them. So I dive regularly.
So you're a bit of an adrenaline junkie.
Well, in the beginning, we were interested in sharks because I was a spearo, and the sharks always came to try and take your fish. And my husband and I realized very early in the piece that they weren't interested in us, they were interested in the fish alone. Most shark attacks are a mistake. They don't have hands, they can't feel, so they feel with their teeth. And they're so well armed, a small feel from a great white will kill you, most likely.
Well, Sharon, let's talk about your role in this. Now, you, of course, are a big celebrity here in Asia and Hong Kong. How did you get involved in being an advocate for the marine life?
I started at a very young age. My father is one of the founding members of a park in Hong Kong, a marine park. And so, you know, I grew up being able to associate myself with cetaceans and other marine life. But, you know, this time I'm here as the ocean ambassador for Asia Dive Expo. And I think my job this time is to try to bring people closer to the oceans. Now, you just mentioned how diving is misconceived as an activity by adrenaline junkies. Well, some, yes, but I don't think that's usually the case. Because for most people, I honestly think that diving is a very, very peaceful thing. You go into the water, sure, you don't really belong there, but once you have your gear strapped on, it's like you're flying. And the scenery is unbeatable. So it's the most peaceful, beautiful thing that you could ever experience.
Well, Valerie, tell us about one of your favorite spots for diving.
Wow, there's a lot of them. My favorite area for diving is Komodo Marine Park in Indonesia. My favorite, most exciting place to dive is Fakarava Lagoon in the Tuamotus in French Polynesia, because they have what we call wallpaper sharks. You can't see through them.
Wow.
And they swim through the South Pass to go into the lagoon to feed. And if you swim through with them, you're just another marine animal going into the lagoon to feed. And it's very exciting.
Do you find that that's what happens often when you dive underwater, that they actually regard you as another marine animal?
Yes, that's true. It depends on your behavior. The American Navy has done a lot of studies with sharks because they've lost so many of their own in shipwrecks usually. And they pick up your heartbeat. And they know the difference between the heartbeat of a frightened animal, which is prey, and a non-frightened animal, which is an equal. And I'm very fortunate I don't get frightened, so my heartbeat's always nice and still.
Well, we hear you had a run-in with a spotted eel that surprised you.
Oh, no, not really, didn't surprise me. It surprised me when it became my friend.
Yeah.
It really became a huge friend. And her name was Honey, and she lived at Banda Island in the Banda Sea. And she really got to know me very well. And I loved her.
Video went viral.
I loved her.
I feel like I've seen this video as well. We were looking at the video of the eel.
Oh, Honey. Oh.
And Sharon, are you friends with any underwater animals as well?
Well, not on a long-term basis, but I think for me that really is one of the main reasons why I dive. On land, I love interaction with animals. I don't only advocate for oceans. I've been fighting the ivory trade, for example. So I've always had an affinity for all living animals, living beings. But when I'm underwater, I've had instances of, for example, last time I went diving, it was a couple of months ago in Thailand. But there was a little wrasse, it's just a small little wrasse, decided to be my friend. And it followed me throughout the whole tank of diving. It just followed me. And I had my camera with me, so this little wrasse at one point swam in front of me, and he just decided to look into my mask, came really close. You know, we were like cross-eyed, looking at each other. And it was just very curious. And I had my camera, so I did a selfie. I took a selfie with this wrasse. But it's being able to interact with these animals and fully understanding they're not just fish. Each one is an individual. Each one's an individual being, and they have characters, and we need to appreciate that.
Well, you mentioned earlier that your dad helped found Ocean Park. Has that changed how you feel about animals in captivity?
Oh, it's changed a lot. Now, when I was little, we didn't know a lot of what we know today, all right? And things were very different way back then. We didn't have dead zones. We didn't have the current level of pollutions. We didn't have to worry so much about what we're doing to the oceans. But now, you know, we're overfishing. There's all these other issues. And of course, we didn't know as much about cetaceans in those days. And now we know that dolphins and whales do not belong in captivity. It's something we need to stop doing. And we're having a hard time changing that overnight. I think Switzerland's done a very good thing. They have, I think, about 3 or 4 dolphins left in captivity, but they're phasing out. They're not letting them breed anymore. They're just letting them live out their lives, and that's it. They're not bringing any more in. However, there are a lot of aquatic parks sprouting up throughout China right now, and each one wants to showcase their own beluga whales and dolphins and whatnot, you know, killer whales. And when you get to killer whales, it gets dangerous too. So it's bad for the animal as well as the people involved.
So there are a lot of challenges to conservation. Valerie, over the years, what would you say is the secret to making conservation work?
I'm glad you asked me that. I have had many different marine animals protected in Australia, totally protected. And I've always done it in the same way. I don't belong to anything except maybe the World Wildlife Fund because they knighted me, or had me knighted. But my husband was a cinema photographer underwater. This is what you do. You get a good story about an animal that's in distress, and that's very easy. You video it, like I'm down there patting the giant cod, you know, almost kissing it. I've got a story for TV. You go on TV, you talk to the people of the country. Wouldn't you like your children, when they are old enough to be able to do this with this fish? It can give people years and years of pleasure, and it can give a fisherman maybe 1 hour of pleasure at the most.
Okay, sorry, we have to interrupt you. We're almost out of time. But
oh, really?
Yeah, how fast it went. But thank you so much for being here. We appreciate it. And of course, you guys can talk to them at the Asia Dive Expo, which is going on the 10th of April, and you can check it out with them.
That's right. It's at the Suntec Convention and Exhibition Center. On that note, we're done for today. This Thursday, we'll see you again tomorrow on Friday, bright and early. Goodbye.